Welcome to Biology Made Easy. Today we are comparing diffusion and osmosis. Welcome. So we have these two cells, diffusion, these two cells. We have the same two cells, osmosis. Now, these two cells have these organelles. There's an organelle here. We have nutrients here. Now, in diffusion, what are the substances that move? Gases and solutes in diffusion. When you come to osmosis, the substance that move is water molecules. Then we can also look at the two processes, looking at the pathway or the movement of substances. If you come to diffusion, substances move from cell to cell. They move through the cell, right? The same thing happens in osmosis. Substances move from cell to cell. Substances move within the cell. Now, substances move from cell to cell. We use the red, and we use substances moving within the cell as green. Now, we also look at this. Diffusion does not need to cross membranes. Substances can move within the cell, crossing membranes, but substances do not need to cross membranes to have diffusion occurring. But when you come to osmosis, the water needs to cross membranes to become osmosis. Now, when water diffuses in the cell, it's still diffusion of water. But once it's crossing a membrane, then it's looked at as osmosis. Now, we also have to note that in diffusion, the process can occur in both living and non-living things. For instance, we have this filter paper made up of cellulose, dead, and yet we put this solution here and it diffused, moving from where it was concentrated, moving through. All right? So diffusion can occur in both living and non-living things. You have cork cells in plants contain air. So long as there's a space that has air in it, diffusion can take place. Diffusion takes place like in cork cells. All that is needed for diffusion to take place is kinetic energy should be present and concentration gradient. And note that osmosis is like diffusion of water. But when it becomes osmosis, cell membranes need to be present. Well, we still have the same two processes we are comparing. Diffusion, you have substances moving from one place to another once there's kinetic energy and concentration gradient. Osmosis too, water can move from this point to another place through cell membranes. That's osmosis. Once the substances have kinetic energy and concentration gradient. Well, we have a few questions to ask on diffusion and osmosis. Do they occur at different times? Is there any importance? Well, what do you think? They always occur together in the cells and they occur all the time. Diffusion is occurring all the time, gases and solutes. Water is also moving through cell membranes all the time. And their importance is to distribute nutrients and also to remove waste. And as we said in our lesson on importance of movement of substances, it's also to maintain homeostasis, to keep the internal environment of the cells constant. Well, you have another question. Diffusion and osmosis, do they have different pathways? Any importance? What do you think? Here we go. No, diffusion and osmosis, the two processes are taking place randomly through the whole cell, the whole living cell, every living cell. Diffusion and osmosis is taking place throughout. The only thing is that it is the net movement of the substance that has specific direction. Otherwise, it's random movement. But if it's plenty, then the net movement goes this way. The same in diffusion, the same in osmosis. The importance of it, yes, is to distribute nutrients, remove waste, and to maintain the internal environment of the cells constant. That is homeostasis. Well, this is what we have. So we'll meet in our next lesson. Thank you for being around, and goodbye.